Okay, so we're not going to have a regular episode this month because I had a really terrible time just maybe a week ago. So instead of doing a theme for this month's podcast episode, I'm just going to tell you a really quick story of what happened, causing this podcast to one, be super delayed in terms of filming, and two, be a different kind. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, my brother in law just casually remembered what happened last year. He mentioned it at the dining table, asking, "Hey, do you guys remember when we got flooded last year and it was really, really terrible? What month was that again?" And we were arguing about what month it was. And when we actually checked, it's July of last year. And last year, basically what happened was that it was Habagat season and there was a typhoon. I think it was called Typhoon Karina. Um it didn't it didn't make landfall here, but it really pulled a lot of rain, causing one of the random July days to have such heavy rainfall that it just flooded our streets here. That usually does not happen. It only happened once, like a year or two before, on a random day, but and on Doi, like a decade ago. But otherwise, it used to not flood here, from what I can remember or from what I can tell from the years that I've lived here. But for some reason last year, it flooded, right? Even from the rare times that it floods here, it never really reaches inside the house. That only happened during Ondoy, but otherwise, it never enters the house. So we were like, okay, it's flooding outside, but our house is a little higher, so it should be fine. It was not fine. At least for me, it was really not fine. My room is the lowest point in the house. So that means that if the flood enters the house, my room will get the flood first. Another thing about that is that I did not have proper storage for some of my things. I mean, because I keep accumulating things. But I had a lot of books that I bought last year that were just on the floor. When the flood was rising outside last year, I had to move all of my things in panic. I moved the books on the floor. I moved my CPU of my PC, which was also on the floor. Um, I just moved everything I could. I moved my journals, which were stored under my bed, on the floor. It's in a mega box, but still. So I just moved all of my things. I moved my monitor. I moved my cameras. I moved everything that I possibly could, and it was fine. Last year, it was my mom, me, my brother, and my brother-in-law. The terrifying thing about last year was that it was getting dark and we didn't know how we would evacuate if ever because the rain just was not stopping. Um, and we felt really trapped inside our house. And at this point, it was my first adult experience of flooding. So I was just weeping and crying. But eventually, our neighbors found a way out the back with a bamboo ladder. We climbed up a bamboo ladder up a wall to get to the other side, which is higher, so that we could escape the flood. And we had to bring our dog, Chip, and just everything that we could, like our evacuation bags. And then we went to my tita's house. My room was flooded. Our veranda was also flooded, but otherwise, our house was fine. So obviously, I think all of us were traumatized from what happened last year, right? I mean, we're not used to that. And my what happened after was that all of my or most of my things were fine. I thought my cabinet was fine, my wooden cabinet, which is old as heck. I thought it was fine. I open it and it basically collapses on itself because it's so old and it's so battered. It just gave up when it got wet. I was like, damn, now I have to spend on a new cabinet. Um, Thankfully I got some help and I got this plastic Orocan kind of more aesthetically pleasing cabinet. Um, but it's a cabinet that will survive a flood because it's plastic. This year, basically around the same time, July, almost the same thing happened. Okay. Except I think for me, it was more traumatizing. And I will tell you why. And this is why I just couldn't film a podcast episode. Okay, so a week ago, my partner and I brought our dog to pause in Katipunan for a vet consultation. Everything went fine. We bought her a funny shirt and we were about to go home to my house because we were gonna bring our dog back home. But on our way home while driving, it was raining so hard that we had to stop by the road. And we were like, okay, we're just gonna wait for it to stop. After a bit, we just had to keep driving. When we got home to drop off our dog, Filipina, my partner was supposed to go home and I was supposed to go back to Katipunan for a work event, for a work meeting. But we ended up staying at my house because my partner's village was flooded. He couldn't get in, so he couldn't go home. And for me, I just canceled our work meeting. I just asked if we could cancel our work meeting because the creek beside us or the creek near our house was about to overflow. For an hour, we were just chilling on the couch. It was raining hard, but it seemed like it was fine. When this happens, my mom moves two cars, my sister's car and my kuya's car. So she starts moving the two cars, and my partner, Lucas, also moves his car to a higher point. And so they leave. While they were evacuating the cars, I was left at home with my dog, my older sister, and my Lola. During the flood last year, they weren't here. And so I was getting really nervous, but I thought the flood wasn't so high yet, so it was fine. Despite that, I decided to pack an evacuation bag already just in case because I have learned from last year. While I was doing this, I was charging my things, I was picking what was going to go in my evacuation bag. It starts flooding inside the house. At this point, the flood was waist deep, probably outside. That's not the height of our house. So it should not have been flooding inside our house. But what happened recently, maybe last year, is that two establishments were built near us, basically beside us, covering the soil beside our house. And so nothing sucking the water beside us anymore. So what the water would do is go directly to our house instead when it's raining so hard. This was solved by a drain outside our house. Um, and so it was supposed to be fine. But we're guessing that the rain was just too much that even the drainage under could not take the water anymore. And so what happened was it just started flooding inside our house. What it looked like was it looked like the water was coming from the walls. So the water from outside was seeping through the walls is I guess, I don't know. It That's what it looked like. I was explaining to them that what it felt like was, in Hunger Games, when you're in an area that's so safe and so far from everyone that the game makers, is that what they're called? They just put a threat in that area to drive you away from that area, making the arena smaller. That's what it felt like with the flood. Um, at first, it was my mom's room because that was the nearest to. Basta, at first, it was my mom's room because it's the nearest outside that could get the flood. You don't have to understand that. But then my room is lower, so it started going to my room like a waterfall. And while I was packing, and at this point, my mom and my partner weren't at home yet. There was still electricity and there were extension cords on the floor. And I start panicking. I left the evacuation bag I was packing. Just pull all of the wires from my CPU because it's still super near the floor. I pull all of the wires no matter how tangled they were, bring my CPU outside, and scream at my Lola and Ate that it was flooding inside my room and my mom's room. And they should help move things and figure out how to turn the electricity off because it was dangerous. There were extension cords on the floor and it was flooding. And so they were figuring that out. I was moving all of my things, all of the things that I could. Thankfully, it's easier to move them now because I've gotten cabinets and shelves and stuff. Um, I got my gadget cabinet first and then my makeup cabinet, aside from all the gadgets outside. I got books near the floor. And then I realized my power bank is still plugged in and there was still electricity. And so I tried to unplug that power bank and I got grounded. Basically, I got really scared. I mean, I was already super scared because at this point, my mom and my partner still weren't here. And we just didn't have the physical strength like last year to move everything as fast as we should have. Like last year, my brother and my brother in law were here, so they were helping me evacuate my things. Anyway, so while I was just trying my best to move all of my things while trying to navigate the slippery floor, um, my Lola successfully turned off the electricity from my room and my mom's room. But it was hard because it was dark. And then my mom and my partner finally get home and they helped me transfer my things. And I just start bawling because I had to hold it in while they weren't here because I just had to be composed to move as many things as I can and think clearly. But as soon as they were able to help me, I just couldn't handle it and cried. Anyway, so we moved all of my things. I didn't know at this point which ones to move because I just didn't have enough time to move my things. Again, because the flood wasn't coming from outside, it was an unexpected thing to have happened. It We did not see that coming at all. My mom and my partner helped me, and then we just waited for the flood to go down. After it goes down at night, it just rises again and then goes down. Um, until now, the actual reason why I can't film a normal podcast episode is I'll show you. Until now, my room's still all messed up. Like I'm still drying some papers and some wires. Well, all of my wires actually. My PC's still not here. And it's just that's my life right now. So I couldn't film a normal podcast episode, but I hope the story was, I don't know, fun to listen to or interesting or gave you a perspective of my life currently. I don't know. Or resonated with you or made you feel less alone because you also experience the same thing. I am aware that compared to other people experiencing flooding, my experience is so much easier and so much better. I'm still so privileged, but it is very terrifying. Until recently, I didn't know how huge of a threat flooding is because I grew up near the mountains. I didn't understand how scary it would be, and it is really really scary. So yeah, I there's no moral to this story. I just wanted to share with you guys so that we didn't have to skip a podcast episode. I'm filming this with a different mic and my DJI instead of my classic mic and webcam combo. I don't even know if the wires for those things will still work, but we'll see. If you still listen to this episode, thank you so much. I know it's so random, but I just wanted to share something more personal. And I guess I wanted to memorialize what happened as well so I don't forget about it. I'm just sentimental like that. And I think it also says a lot about our current climate. Um, so, yeah, thank you guys for still listening and watching. I promise, or I hope to promise that there will be a regular episode. There will be a regular podcast episode in the month of August. I already have an idea of what it would be, but if you have any suggestions or requests, let me know. Bye.